Of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook. Let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
Good evening, everybody. This is John and Rob with Co-Angler's Corner. Good evening, Rob.
Hey, how y'all are? How you doing, John?
I'm doing great, thanks.
All right.
I'm very pleased with tonight's guest. I've known Tom for, 20 years or so. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. We've done we've fished together in the New York Federation and a couple other things, but he's very knowledgeable in marketing yourself and to companies and things like that. And Aaron Wilkie, a past guest of ours, turned me on to him, and we got in touch with him, and he's going to be our guest tonight to talk a little bit about that and maybe give some of his fishing knowledge.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to it. We all get better at the business and marketing side for sure.
Yes, that's for sure. So let's bring him on, and we'll go from there.
All right.
So, sound like a plan?
Sound like playing. There, got Rick Amato already checking in on us saying, "Evening, John, Rob, and Tom." Rick,
Yep.
You're one of the kind of guys. If I get in jail and I need somebody to bail me out, I'm calling you, brother.
All right. Let's give Tom a nice welcome here. Hey, Tom.
Hey guys, how are you tonight?
Awesome, man. Doing good.
Oh, cool.
Great. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Oh, not a problem.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, like I said in the before we brought you on, I've known you for 10, 20 years almost or so.
It seems that way. Yeah, I think we were a little less gray when we first met. So.
Yeah, and I think I had a little more hair, maybe. I don't know.
Just
Me too. Yeah. I can relate to that.
Yeah. No, if you don't mind going through and talking to the audience a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your history.
Sure. My name's Tom Presnell. I'm, I guess you would call the proprietor of Avid Angler Promotions, and I can be found at avidanglerpromotions.com. And what I do is basically I help people come up with their own promotional materials to basically go out and seek and hopefully obtain, the sponsorship backing that they would like to get for their fishing career, whether it's at any level. And I help out people from anywhere from high school to college to the semi-pro circuits to all the way up to the top tier circuits. I've seen some of my now former clients move up the ranks and become I guess a lot bigger than me, and they kind of got their own they probably can afford to hire a whole company to to do their stuff for them now. But so basically what I do is I number one, I'm a tournament fisherman, and I have a lot of interaction with people in the business over the years, mostly the endemic stuff, and really kind of know what they're looking for as far as someone who would be a good advocate for their product or products or services. So what I do is I help people out. I help build a profile, and we come up with a really good professional looking resume. And that includes, photos, graphics. I usually do some kind of cool background, with everybody, and have plenty of, stock photos for that type of work. But I do resumes, I do cover letters, sponsorship proposals, boat and truck wrap proposals, business cards, brochures. I've even done PowerPoint presentations for people that needed them done. Yep. And the other things I do is I do a lot of writing. I have, John knows, I have some experience with the magazine world. Fish Lines magazine was in the New York State Bass Nation, and then I also for a long time, there it is.
Hey.
For a long time, I was pre-press editor for Bass Angler magazine. And I did that up until a couple years ago. I think I had about a 9 or 10 year run with them, and he ended up hiring a young guy out of college that was out in California with him instead of working with me coast to coast. So that's kind of how that deal ended. But it was a really good run, and I learned a lot, and especially reading the articles that I edited. And I did get to write a couple articles for them as well, which was a lot of fun. But so one of the other things I do is I do website copy for anybody who needs it. I've done some tackle companies already that have asked me to write the copy for their products, and the about us, or the bios for their pro staff, that kind of thing. So really, I'm kind of a little bit of an oddity. I'm a tournament angler. I can do graphics, some respectable graphic design, and of course the writing skills are what's really important. And I think I've found that the majority of the people that come to me are due to that, they struggle with the writing side of it. And it's really important to have, really good uh, intentional, what I call persuasive writing.
Yep.
Not only that, but to be able to pick out the things that people look for when they're looking to hire or bring on a new promotional staff member. So, trying to think if I covered everything. Pretty much what I do there.
Yep.
You've covered a lot.
Yep.
But
really, I try to make. I like to call it. I try to make anglers look as best as we possibly can on paper, and usually we generate a final PDF file which they can email to people. I've even composed introductory emails for people, that they can just copy and paste into their email, because some people are. I've had all levels. I've had people that have had maybe some stuff written already, and I've been able to use it. And I've had other people that are like, Tom, could you please just write this quick email for me? They're like, I don't want to sound like an idiot, and I don't look down on anybody. I mean, I know that everybody has their own level of comfort when it comes to this type of stuff. I've had some people, with their wives and girlfriends, put something together, and then when they see what I can do, they realize that it's something that is a lot more professional, a lot more polished. But for me, it's all about helping the guy get that little jump, or that really getting noticed. That's what I
Yep.
try to help people do. So
Gotcha.
And
Good.
a lot of co-anglers are good fishermen or fisherwomen, but they're not actually, like, sometimes they get a mental block saying, I'm only a co-angler, I'm not a professional. How do I go about getting noticed by a company? What would be one thing that you would say as far as sorry, my phone went off on accident. What would be the one thing to say that they any person should work on to get noticed?
Well, obviously, having some good chops on the water never hurts, but that's not really the only thing. Companies are really looking for people that, and I hate to say it, can sell the product, that really believe in the product, can present it in a professional way. You guys both know that social media has really taken off, and that has really become the leading form of promotion for the majority of these companies. And the other thing is get a solid resume put together before you approach anybody, and especially if you're a co-angler, try to think outside the box a little bit, and don't think that, hey, that 20% discount with Berkeley is going to get me what I need. Maybe think, hey, you know what, maybe there's an oil company in my town that wants their name out a little bit broader beyond the county line, or maybe there's a local tackle store that you could come in on Saturdays for a couple of hours and just walk the aisles and help out with advice for lures and things like that. And maybe in exchange, they could help out with entry fees or maybe some extra tackle. But it really comes down to, I think, the best ways to go about it is networking. As you guys are probably well aware, John, we were just talking about being at the Rockland show,
Yep.
and how you bump into people from all walks of life, from all different types of companies, and just just shaking hands and getting to know someone a little bit, and a lot of deals are made, you know, quote unquote behind the curtain, not out in the open, where you might come on to something that you might have a good idea about how to promote something that a person or a company hasn't heard of before, and they might take you up on it. So,
Yep.
Exactly.
that's one of the things I try to coach my clients. I'm a lot more than just a resume maker. I try to coach people along the way. I try to, give them advice, especially if they already have companies that are asking for their materials. I try to help them, basically piece everything together and how to present it. And I also think one of the best things to do is research a company before you approach them. Um, Make sure it is something that you could put your name behind. There's nothing worse than, John and I talked about this before we logged on,
Yep.
about, we both worked with a unnamed company that we both kind of lost faith in. And when you lose faith in them, it's really hard to promote them anymore. So my advice is, always find a company, and it doesn't have to be a tackle company or a fishing related company. It can be, maybe there's an insurance company out there who wants to sell more boat insurance, or
Yep.
maybe a garment company. I had one client that one of his main sponsors was a blue jeans company that was,
Yep.
sort of like a boutique type of blue
Sure.
jeans.
Yep.
Technology companies is another thing that, you'd be surprised that how much let's just say how little they get beyond like their little area, their local area. So that would be my advice, especially for co-angler. I would say pick small battles at first.
Yep.
And when you build a little bit of confidence, then just start, coming up and say, hey, well, I work with this company. I've done some good work with them. This is the type of work I do. I can come up with a list of ways that I can help you out. And
Yep.
I suggest that you do that before you even talk about what you want.
Yep.
Come up with a list of ideas and just say, hey, this is maybe something a little different than you've been approached, to do previously. And I would love to give it a try. In fact, let's see if I can garnish a little success for you before we even talk about, what you can do for me. Now, one of the things, John, I think I was eventually going to bring it up, but we might as well get it out there, because it's the elephant in the room is that the ROI, right?
Yep.
The return on investment.
Yep.
And you really need to prove yourself that you are worthy of what it is they're going to provide for you, whether it's cash or product or even a service. And that return on investment, that gets thrown around a lot, but it is an absolute must. And you really need to show anybody that you partner with, and I like to refer to them as partners or partnerships rather than sponsors, because
Yep.
to me it has a little better connotation to it,
Yeah.
because you are actually partnering
Yeah.
with with a company, rather than just saying, hey, put your hand out, can I have this for just throwing my logo on my shirt? That's not a real sponsorship. I mean, you can go out and get that with just about any tackle company. They'll give you that 10-20% discount, and these kids are out there slinging around social media, and they're getting all this free marketing for pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
So, so I would really suggest, do your research, find a company or companies that you firmly believe in. You can start with, friends, acquaintances, ask for referrals, there's a whole bunch of ideas. I mean, generally, there's usually some of the meatier stuff is found right in your own backyard.
Yep. Definitely.
So,
Brand awareness. I know brand awareness is usually pretty key. And best
Yep.
best advice I got one time, I went to, I think, an FLW Cup way in South Carolina, and Jimmy Houston is like, we're already in the show, nobody is there. I talked to him for 30 minutes, and he said, go to every show you can, and they'll recognize you and say, hey, that guy was at the last show. But that was pretty good advice. Go every show you can, trade show, fishing expo. So it does give you a presence there for sure.
Yep, I met him at the Classic Expo,
Yep.
and among other people, I went down there 3-4 times, and I got a great Jimmy Houston story. It's real quick.
Yep.
John, as you know, I did Fish Lines magazine, and one of my roles was to go to the Classic and try to find advertising for the magazine to help offset the costs. And they sent me down there, I think, 3 years in a row. And I can't remember if it was the second year or the first year, but I was done for the day, and I was walking back to the hotel, and I was right at the corner of a stoplight, and here comes Jimmy Houston rolling in. He had a Tahoe with his wrap on it.
Yep.
And he starts rolling up. He stops. He saw the bass patch on my shirt. He stopped and just waved at me like that, and like, oh, just me and him out there on the block.
Right.
I thought that was the coolest thing.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't beat
And go ahead,
that.
Rob. Yeah. Rick Amato says,
Okay.
Tom, what's your
Rick
take
Amato's
on
got a
the-
quick question.
Yeah. Companies only want younger guys and gals nowadays. What do you think about that?
Well, that's kind of a two-part question. I mean, definitely the younger set are probably more familiar with the social media, and they pick it up a lot quicker. That doesn't mean people our age can't be good at it. I'm learning all the time as well. I mean, personally, I work full time as well as do this, so for me, it's a little bit harder, to be on social media on a regular basis. But I would say, there is a little bit of ageism out there, but I think if you can prove that you are a more mature, maybe a more reliable, and of course, guys, we're older, but we're experienced, right?
Yep.
Right.
I think some wisdom comes along with that, especially if people have been fishing tournaments as long as the three of us have, and I think the experience factor would definitely help offset the impression that the younger people are better. Now, if a company flat out says, no, sorry, we're not interested, we only want the young guys, then you know what? Maybe they're not worth working with,
Yep.
if they're not able to see the fact that, hey, I might have a really experienced guy here. Maybe they didn't know that this guy actually does sales for a living and he could help me out.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
right, John?
Yeah, I don't know anything you're talking about, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom and I both were in marketing and printing business for years, and so we kind of know a little bit about what he's talking about. And so, use my advice is use your experience. If you think somebody says, hey, you're not the demographic we're looking for, prove to them how you can reach out to that younger demographic, and I think that'd help you out, Tom.
Absolutely.
Or I'm sorry, Rick. Rick asked the question. I'm reading your name on the thing.
No, that was a very good question.
Yeah.
I have a broad spectrum of clients. I have anywhere from high school anglers all the way up to people probably in their 60s. So they come in all shapes and sizes, and We all just want a little piece of the pie to help offset our expenses. And if you're willing to go through the motions to, get some promotional materials and in some other companies' hands and prove to them that, hey, look, I'm serious about this,
Yeah.
and that I don't think it matters what age you are. I mean, I honestly, especially the teenage guys I talk to, a lot of times I struggle on the phone conversations because they basically just have like 1 or 2 word answers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you elaborate a little bit on that? And so maybe the maturity and the social skills would be a benefit for older anglers.
Yeah, and knowing how to carry on a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know my wife hates it because we can go anywhere and I can strike up a conversation with a complete stranger no matter where we are. So
Cool.
especially Disney World, wherever. I was talking to a little old lady on the bench while the parade was going on. She goes, "Did you know her?" And I go, "No." I was like, "No, she just seemed nice."
Yeah, and if you're going to promote somebody, you have to be able to talk to people you don't know. Correct?
Absolutely. So, I didn't do a lot of public speaking in college, but I did take a public speaking course. I also took a corporate and it was corporate and something communications course, which was a really good eye opener because the woman that taught it was an actual recruiter for corporations, and
Oh.
she really helped me refine, how you present yourself on paper. Now we're talking back in the days when computers were kind of new. We maybe had like MS-DOS and like the little early Macintosh that you
Yeah.
had to put the floppy disk in to get them to boot up.
Yep.
Um, but for the most part, if you don't have any experience with that, that would also be helpful. On that kind of point, a lot of guys get up, like not every tournament tour has live mic weigh-ins, but if you do happen to partake in those, I always tell everybody, have something either funny or significant to say before you step up on that stage.
Yeah.
And it's not do something dumb just to get noticed. It's more think of a funny story, or share a little bit of information that you learn. I mean, everybody hears, well, the bite was real tough today.
Yeah.
Everybody's heard that one.
Yeah.
Or I had a great day today on the water, compared to practice. Everybody's heard that. But when you get up there, try to think of something unique. Try to something that sticks in people's minds and shows that you can get on the mic and hold yourself pretty well, and people will notice that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That is true.
And hard work, like at the shows and stuff. I know I've had a couple sponsors, hey, volunteer to go work at the show, even if it's for a day, but that means a lot. Show up and actually physically sell stuff to the public. That makes a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, I know working trade shows, I mean, one of the hardest things that the very first time I ever worked one, be like G-Man. Yeah.
There's only one of them now.
I was just gonna say that's a tough one.
Yeah.
He's one of a kind.
Yep.
For sure. I've been fortunate to meet him, I think about 3 times, and the best time was at Bass University. I went to up in Boston several years back, and I've known Pete Glusick for a long time. Of course, he runs that with Mike Iconelli.
Yep.
And Gerald Swindle was there. John Cruz was there at that time. Fred Rambanis. Trying to think of who else was there, but Swindle was awesome because he came in and did his usual thing where you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And he came in. He says, "Well, it was right after his brother passed away." And he had gone through a lot of soul searching. You could tell, it was weighing on him. And he showed up and he walks in. His first thing, he goes, I was here to do a lecture on junk fishing. He goes, but how many of you really want to know what it's like, what the mental side of, the high end tournament is like. And every single person in the whole room raised their hand, and he
Yeah.
completely switched gears and just did a fantastic talk about the mental side of competitive bass fishing. And it was one of the most extraordinary things I'd ever seen when it came to, oh gosh, what do you call those things? uh, I forgot.
Impromptu, like an impromptu.
No, it's not the word I'm looking for, and I get real tired at the end of the day, so I lose words. But
Kind of like a clinic, or I know what you're talking about.
yeah, clinic. There's another word for it, but
Yeah.
but that was really cool what he did. So
Yeah. PMA, positive mental attitude. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
yeah, he was a trip.
Yeah, I actually fished with him on Toho at the Bass Open a few years back, and cool experience. He just had his boat. He just got with Phoenix, and his boat or truck wasn't wrapped. And it's funny, he jokes around. He picked up a spinning rod at Toho, which kind of blew me away. But it's funny though. I mean, he jokes around, talks, but when he's fishing, he gets real quiet, real serious, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a good day with him. He was fun. He was a good day.
Yeah, he's one of a kind for sure. So.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else have any questions out there?
I have a statement and kind of a question as well. It's always easy, in my opinion, to reach out to somebody. When is it? Do you think people don't reach out enough, or they'll send one email out and say, okay, oh, they didn't contact me back in 3 weeks, they must not be interested? Should you keep contact them more than once? Because I know companies get hundreds of thousands of emails.
They do. Yeah. Well, my answer to that is it is definitely okay to reach out more than one time. Now, 12 times might be overdoing it.
Yeah.
But, the key is to find a way to get noticed, or to actually have them open up that email. And, it can be right in the title of your email. And I have like a little write-up that I did. I helped out one of my professional anglers who was starting to run out of ideas for people to contact. He was just going to start cold contacting people. And so I kind of came up with a game plan for him and a little script to go by. And really, it's the whole lead, what they call the lead in, and the title in the thing, because they don't want it to look like, you don't want it to look like spam, and you also don't want it to look like, just another college kid looking for a deal.
Right.
But this guy is a legitimate. He gave up his full-time job to fish professionally. Slept out of a tent his first year on tour, and has continued, the quest to do it. And he's probably become one of my most successful stories when it comes to social media. When he first started, he didn't know much about it, and now he's like incredible on it, especially TikTok. But he and I came up with a little game plan about the emailing, and it can definitely benefit you. I wouldn't say, send an email, every single day for a week. I would say, send it once, maybe 3-4 days later, send a follow-up. And the key is to try to send it to an actual person. Maybe smaller companies might have, just a handful of people working in the office or what have you, or the warehouse, wherever it may be. And that, so there might be fewer eyes that see it compared to sending it to some gigantic company. And even the gigantic companies tend to have regional reps, and just getting your hands on their email can be pretty difficult. But I just had this happen to me with Seagar. I've been trying to get in with Seagar for years, and I didn't get a response, and I thought, filling out, Seagar is pretty lengthy process if anybody's ever tried it. their website, you have to be very, very thorough. You have to make sure you have all your materials ready to go. They require references. So I didn't hear back for 3 weeks, and I decided to cash in one of my contacts, who was actually a professional angler, and basically they said, well, because I knew they were with them, and they said, I know who, I know who's you should need to talk to. I just talked to them the other day. They gave me the okay for you to reach out to them. So it was really, really cool. They actually helped me go directly to the person that I needed to go to. Their pro staff was full. However, he said they could make me a VIP member, which still gives me a significant brand. You guys know how expensive cigar fluorocarbon is, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, I love it, but it's hard to find it on sale, and just to be able to get that kind of a break, going through as much line as you do in the course of a season, is fantastic. So again, just being creative. You can even find, let's just say you got an Elite Series person, maybe somebody on the Opens or the MLS circuit, and they have a website and they've got a contact email there, and you can just write them a really, really brief message saying, hey, listen, I see that you're with so and so. I really feel strongly I'd be a good candidate, to represent them, and here's why. Give them a brief reason why, and then hopefully they respond back to you, and they might be able to lead you to a better contact at that company. So it's really, you can kind of go around the corner, so to speak, by way of a bridge with a contact that you know. So hopefully that made sense. I hope I was able to kind of tie that all up and have it make sense. But
you did. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So John, what have you found over the course of barking Rugers?
Yeah, that's where my buddies. That's where my buddies from Louisiana.
Yeah, when you're right, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. For me, be genuine, be yourself. A lot of people, you could tell when somebody is trying to BS their way through something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or over the top. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my biggest advice to anybody trying to get sponsors, or partners, however you want to say it. I prefer the term partners as well, because sponsors is usually taken as a one-way street. You give me money, right. I give you whatever, maybe, you know, but no, I prefer partners. But be yourself,
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to reach out for help.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Tom, like I said, Tom has been in the marketing business, the printing business for years and years, written for plenty of big magazines. Reach out to him, see, maybe you guys can strike up a deal and try to figure something out.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's really important too is to try to be different. I know I use the term think outside the box, but putting somebody's logo on your shirt or your boat, that's a given if you're going to be helping anybody out. But try to think of some way else that you can go about promoting their product or promoting their company. I've seen people do like little skits, just pretend stuff, and oh, by the way, hey, you should be using it, So whether it's on the water or just in your backyard, and just try to think of ways that I always try to, whenever somebody asks me some advice about a particular company, first thing I do is I Google them, go to the website, find out as much as I can about them. Who are the principals of the company? Who are the marketing people in the company? Do they have social media people in the company? Do they need someone doing social media for the company? So, I mean, you just start asking all these questions, and, hopefully it'll kind of lead you to, where you need to go. It's just really, really important. Do your research.
Definitely.
Yes.
And the one thing that you and John both said, networking. I've had like company
Yeah.
I'm interested in. I see one of my buddies, sponsored by them or something, and say, hey, kind of give me the deal and who to talk to. That's huge. If you get an in like that, networking, that's huge.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I've had one or two companies that, I only really work with about 3 companies a year because that's all the time that I can afford to give them. Working full time, fishing, a couple
Yep.
different circuits, family man, and I try to make sure that it's someone that I truly believe in, someone I want to maintain a relationship with, um, and really what you try to do. Here's another good piece of advice: is if you do happen to connect with somebody and they say, okay, we're going to try you out, I highly recommend that you give them quarterly reports.
Yep.
Basically, send them a follow-up email every quarter and say, okay, while I was doing, I was, fishing tournaments, I was able to speak, interact with this many people. I was able to do 4 quick videos, 60-second videos about your product. I was able to do, 10 Facebook posts and Instagram posts. So if you give them basically hard copy of the type of work that you're doing for them, that is showing that you're putting in the effort. There's nothing worse than being a quote unquote sponsor and feeling like nobody, someone who you helped out isn't doing anything for you.
Yeah.
Bottom line, as you guys probably well know, is generating sales.
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
And
you know,
communication, like you're right, communication's
mhm.
key.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yep. But generating sales and um, exposure
Yep.
are the two biggest things when it comes to representing a company. So
Yeah.
Huge.
You,
trying to think
you,
if there's anything else that we could add to that.
I
I
mean,
just wrote that.
you have to prove to a company your value.
Yeah.
Yes, very well put. Very well put. And the only other thing that I would add along to that is always, always, always remember it's about them. It's not
Yep.
about you.
Yep.
And find out what their needs are. Everybody knows what you want.
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you,
Oh
you,
yeah.
you want cash or you want product.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so find out what they want. That's probably one of the biggest obstacles. Um, and there'll be some companies that'll flat out tell you that, okay, for us to, and some people do use contracts and some don't. But if you do have a written contract, you definitely need to uphold your end of the bargain.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I noticed too, especially younger guys, the smaller upstart companies is usually easier to get into, and seem like the smaller companies as they're growing, you kind of grow with them, and that's
Yeah,
always a strong relationship.
Yeah.
it is.
And
That's a really good point. The smaller companies, maybe a newer company, um, to grow with them. Um, I have a good example. A guy I helped out early on. I'm sorry to cut you off, John, but I'll just
No,
tell a
you're
you're good.
quick story. One of the guys I started out with early on uh, struck up a deal with, oh gosh, I can't remember. They make rod and reels,
yep,
and they wouldn't give him any cash towards his, and he was fishing the opens, Bassmaster Opens,
yep,
and he finally, what he did was, well, tell you what, let me show you how I can prove myself for 2 years. And if I qualify for the MLF, back then, I remember what the top tier of the MLF was, or the elites, then I would like to have in the contract that I automatically get 10 grand towards my
yep.
entry fees. And sure enough, in 2 years, he did it, and they had to give him 10
Wow.
grand. So you can incorporate an if then in your contract, so
Yep,
you can kind of you can prove yourself that first year, that second year, and then you might see the fruit of your labor, happen after that. I mean, that's another good thing is, prove yourself, and hopefully it'll bear fruit, bigger fruit
Yeah.
down the
Yeah.
line.
From
So
from a grape to a grapefruit.
right.
Yeah. But
No.
but pro athletes do that, performance bonuses and stuff. They make the playoffs if they make the Super Bowl. So
Mhm.
that's quite standard in professions. So yeah.
But
Definitely.
yeah, what I was gonna say is don't waver from your morals either.
Mhm.
If you get with a company that you truly believe in, and then you see some things that are going awry, don't be afraid to say, don't be afraid to step back. I mean, the
Yeah.
money may be good, but if somebody finds out you're associated with a company that's not on the up and up, that's your reputation there.
Yeah.
You have to look out for yourself.
Yeah.
Definitely. And the other related aspect of that is watch out for conflict of interest for between companies. Be careful
Yeah.
because you might like so and so's worm, might like so and so somebody else's crankbaits, but maybe one of them also makes crankbaits and worms. So you just got to be careful, about kind of walking around, making sure that you're not crossing over your products.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously everybody would love to have anything that they choose to, but sometimes that's not the case. You just got to
And if
be
you do,
sensitive.
yeah,
Yep.
and if you do find yourself in that situation, I mean, I have, with plastic companies, with lead and tungsten, be upfront with them. Look, I'm sponsored by this. I'm a pro staff for this company. And I had one company say, look, next year we're adding such and such a line and you need to promote this line. I'm like, no, I'm not going to abandon such and such because I like them.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I'm like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've run that. I've run that in a rod company. Like I had a rod company, and they started doing reels. And I said, "Well, I got this reel company already," and they're like, "That's cool. Just use our rods." So if you communicate and open communication's key. And I said, like John said, just talk one-on-one on them and say, "Hey, here's the deal." And 9 times out of 10, they're cool. They're, "Oh yeah, we understand." So
I agree with that totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How long should you wait? Like, I reach out to company X, they contact me back. I don't want to sound like I'm too antsy. Like, as soon as I see the email, oh, should I reply right away or should I wait a couple days? Should I gather thoughts? I know you don't wait a month. Life's too short to wait a month.
Yeah.
How soon should I reply back?
Well, I would say the next day,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you why. Because, like we mentioned early in this podcast, that these companies get hundreds, if not thousands, of emails a day asking for support. So if somebody is kind enough to get back to you, I would definitely say follow up as soon as you're able to. I've had it happen both ways for me. I've had people, literally like call me right away or email me right away, and then I've had other ones where it's been weeks, and I've maybe half given up by that point.
Yeah.
But the important thing is if they show interest in you, you show interest in them.
Yeah.
Don't wait around.
Yeah, and plus it's fresh on their minds, and they see, an email next day. They say, "Oh yeah, I just talked to that guy yesterday, or emailed that guy yesterday." So, yeah, hit it while it's fresh. Hit it while it's fresh.
Right, and you guys know, I mean, the seasons come and go so quick these days, and most companies have their budget for pro staff and marketing pretty much completed by what, third quarter of any given year for the next year.
Yeah.
So, really, you got to strike while the iron is hot. I'm not saying you can't get, backing after those, decisions have been made. I certainly work with plenty of people that have done it. But in general terms, usually that last, October, November is like the latest you should try to submit anything for the upcoming season. But again, can you get stuff after that deadline? Absolutely. Happened to me last week with Cigar.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
I know since last season, like you said, usually September, October, seemed like it went more December, January on some of mine. It was kind of weird. It seemed like it pushed it out a little bit further, but maybe it's just me.
it could be, and it could be some residual COVID, business hiccups. There was a supply and demand issue going on with all kinds of companies. So my rod and reel sponsor is 13 Fishing, and we all the guys on the promotional staff were we have a dedicated Facebook page, and everybody was wondering why we couldn't get stuff. And they said, well, COVID, and because everything comes over in container ships from China, Korea, wherever, and there was just a shortage.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so that could
Believe
be
it
a
or not,
reason why.
Oh yeah.
Believe it or not, we're 46 minutes in.
Wow.
Wow.
Time flies. You having fun?
Yeah. Usually does when you're talking fish and anything related to fishing. But
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I'd like to, we talked a lot about promoting and a little bit about your company. Give you a chance to shine. Talk about a little bit about your sponsors, a little bit about your company, how they get a hold of you, or anything like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the best way to go about it is just kind of explain the process. I do have a website, avidanglerpromotions.com. There is a contact submission on there. You can just load your email in and hopefully include your phone number and your name. Some people forget to put their name when they contact me, and I just email them back, let them know I got it. But usually what I do is just a free consultation, and it's just a conversation like we're having now. I find out what level they're fishing, what their goals are, what type of promotional materials they're looking to have. I would say about 75% of my clients do a cover letter and a resume. But then I have a number of people that go way beyond. We do the cover letter, resume, we do what we call like a full media kit. Cover letter, resume, um, sponsorship proposal, which is kind of like a shopping list of things that they can offer in exchange for certain dollar amounts, boat wrap, um, charts, things like that. I've even done pocket folders for guys where we'll print out all their the articles they've had online, and I'll just do screen caps of them, and we'll print them out, and then we'll put them on one side of the pocket folder, and then we'll put the resume, the cover letter, and everything else on the other side of the pocket folder. And some people still like to have the hard copy in their hand, and they can, like you guys were talking about earlier, going to the trade shows and talking to people in person, rather than worrying about are they going to open that email. They have something right there in the flesh. But so generally I find out what a person's looking to do, and then we go through a little process where I just tell them, what my terms are, which is, very reasonable. I've had many people tell me I should be charging more, but I'm not in this to get rich. I'm in this to get to help people out and to offset my own tournament expenses, which, you own a boat. You guys know what boat stands for, break out another $1,000. So, so really, I just try to get a good handle on what it is they want to have done. And then I send them my own proprietary questionnaire. And what that questionnaire does is they fill out everything that's on there. It's basically just, 3 pages of questions, and it helps me build their profile. And it kind of fills in all the blanks about, who they are, what they want to do, what their goals are, what their objectives are, what series do they currently fish, what have they fished, all their accomplishments, all that. I mean, it's really all encompassing. So I try to gather all that information on, one questionnaire, and then we talk about the aesthetic side. What do they like in terms of colors, or I have one of my questions is, what type of design do you like? I mean, do you like it to look, modern? Do you like it, folksy? Do you like it like I've done all kinds of cool stuff where I had one guy ask for something, he wanted it all just in black and white, and I was like,
Oh.
I think we can do something cool with that.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I found kind of like a sheet metal background, and it was really sharp. Ended up being a really sharp looking um, piece at at the end. But most people like to go with the color schemes that match their boat or their tournament
Yeah.
jersey. John would probably do something in magenta for you, right?
Yeah.
um, and it's not uncommon, for someone to come up with a little bit of a special request, and I can usually manage that as far as the way the overall look goes. But and I also ask for photos, and I try to find the best possible photo which shows their face without sunglasses on, so that people can really see their eyes. And I always stress to people there's a psychological aspect to that.
Yep.
John, you and I have probably been to a bunch of New York Bass Federation banquets over the years, and I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and they start talking to me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are, and it's because I've only ever seen them with sunglasses and a ball cap on at the weigh-ins,
Yep.
and here we are at dinner, and they got none of that on. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I try to get people to find some photos where they're not wearing sunglasses. And you'll see the guys that are real smart. As soon as they get up on stage, first thing they do is they take their sunglasses off and they put it on their hat or over behind their neck,
Yep.
so the people can see their face and their eyes. Those are the guys that are more savvy, and they realize that that's important. So then I go through a proofing process where I create 5 concepts for them to choose from, and I have all different
Cool.
kinds of fonts for their names. And what that does is that basically gives me an option for them to kind of choose parts that they like the best, and it makes them feel like they're part of the process in
Yeah.
choosing how the overall outcome looks. And I didn't do that originally, but I've been doing that the majority of the time that I've been doing this for people, and I think it's really key. It gives them a good feeling that they're actually participating in the process of the artwork, and quite frankly, I mean, sometimes it's just a lot of fun to see what if we choose the same things. Maybe 50% of the time we do, the other 50% we don't. Sometimes people surprise me. I get guys that like a lot of patriotic stuff, so we'll
Yep.
see some American flags. I have quite a few military veterans that are now either pro or semi-pros, or even amateur anglers. So we've got quite a bit of cross section of life. I've got anything from teachers to town mayors to college students to retail workers, factory workers. I mean, you name it. Doesn't matter who you are. You're capable of doing this for yourself.
Definitely.
So.
It's you talk about color. It's so funny because for the longest time I had a pink tournament shirt.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I switched to a blue and white with the American flag.
Ah.
And you wouldn't believe how many people reached out to me and said, "Why did you switch?" Because every time I saw a pink tournament shirt, I knew it was you.
Yeah.
That was your brand. That was your brand.
And,
Yeah, it
and
was,
guess,
John.
and you'll never guess what color this year's is. I
Chartreuse. Chartreuse.
I'll leave that to Skeet Reese. I did go back to the pink.
Yep.
Because it's all about notoriety. I mean, people
Definitely.
know Ike Nelly for his, when he was coming
A shark.
up.
Yeah.
Yep. We would break dance on his deck. Excitement, the yelling, the screaming. Swindle, the comedy.
Yeah.
You know? And, once you're known for something, stick to it.
Yeah.
As long as it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's another thing is be cool to everybody you meet.
Yeah.
At tournament, if you want to do this for a living or if you want to do this semi-professionally, be cool. Be nice to everybody. You never know who they are. You never know how they may be of some good connection down the road.
Yep.
Gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've just looked in my phone list on my phone and been like, you know what? Maybe I should give so and so a call. I bet you they could help me out with this. And it's amazing how that connection, still all these years. You guys know how it's a giant fraternity.
Yep.
And I would say 99% of the time, everybody's willing to help everybody else out. I mean, nobody's gonna hand you one of their sponsors, but someone might be able to give you a good lead or a contact. But I also think your public perception is really key, especially when you start getting up into the higher ranks. And
Yes.
I think the way you treat people says a lot about who you are.
Yep.
And I mean, as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm the son of a preacher. My dad's a Methodist minister, and he always taught us growing up that treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yep. Golden rule. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, talking about that. Once in a while, I get a chance to talk to high schoolers, a high school team, and one thing I tell them, I say, guys, social media is great, but be careful what you post and what you put out there. Just be real careful on that, because there's some crazy stuff on TikTok and all, and they'll repost. I said, just think, would I want my mom or dad to see that, or my grandparents? Let that question go through your mind and say, okay,
Not only that, but you got the trolls that are out
Yep.
there that can be really mean and nasty.
Yep.
And are the younger set, are they emotionally capable of separating that? You hear all the time about social media bullying, with kids in school, and how these some kids are more sensitive than others to it. It's the same with fishing. I mean, people could go to town on you for something you said or something you did with the fish. I mean, I know I don't personally do it, but I've seen it many times when you see somebody on social media. They've already got the fish and they're holding on to it behind their house, and they didn't release it, and the people will jump all over them from not releasing it.
Oh yeah,
or they have the
definitely
fish on the ground or what.
Yeah. It'll have all dirt and grass all over it. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
or the classic is, well, you're holding it too close to the camera and all that. I was like, come on, guys, jeez.
Yeah, but I like all those things you said, Rob. Yeah, you definitely got to be careful.
Yeah. These days, I mean, it's so click. You do one click and it's on there, and I just tell them, hey, think for a minute, before you click that. So definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rick says, great advice, Tom. It does work. I'm old school. Be kind always. Great show, guys. Thank you very much, Rick.
Yep. Thank you, Rick.
Tom, I think you might know Rick. He's from Syracuse, Oneida Lake. He used to fish the Federation.
Well, I know a lot of people over the years.
Yep.
I think I know his last name. I'm not going to say it, or did he post it? I didn't see.
Oh, he posted it. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. It's Rick Amato.
Yeah, I do. I do know who that is. Yep.
Yep. And one thing, I mean, I think I'm going to take you guys say 99% of all professional anglers fish at least one event as a co-angler.
Yeah.
Okay. All co-anglers have a bad experience at any time in their life. I don't care who you are, what you do. Do not throw that boater under the bus.
Right.
You can tell the whole story, the bad experience, but don't use the person's name, because you don't know if that person is the owner of this person who knows this person who does this, and this.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're done.
Or related to somebody. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Yeah. So just be careful who you talk to and about what. And if you're going to throw somebody under the bus, make sure you're there with them, because you're going to hurt yourself in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a dumb dumb saying, but if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it. But and like you said though, you can relay the story. I've
Yep.
got a few. You
Yep.
know, I've fished with 3 of the Elite Series guys, 2 of which are not on the Elites anymore, but in opens, and you know, one of the 3 was not a very good experience. So, but did I learn? Sure.
Yep.
Was I limited to what I could do? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it happens.
yep.
But talk real quick. Talking about your dad was your preacher's son. I got a really good friend down in Somerset. He's an evangelist. He preaches revivals, and part of his ministry, being a boater, is have his co-angler, and he'll minister to them, or kind of see where they're at. And he's helped a lot of people out. Great guy. Super nice guy.
Yeah, that, I'm not super religious, but I have faith,
Yep.
and what I do believe that it can't hurt.
Yep.
It's a positive thing, no matter how you look at it. Obviously, you know some of the more cult like places are not great, but overall, having some faith can't hurt you, especially being a fisherman. And
Oh yeah.
they say the disciples were fishermen, weren't they, or something like that? So
yeah. Oh yeah.
And we're always praying for bigger fish.
We are. Yep.
And safe returns too. Safe returns. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or don't drop it on the way to the boat.
Yeah. But that's one thing. That's one thing I like about tournaments. I mean, every tournament you go to, you pledge of allegiance, have a prayer before everybody launches out. So I think that's something that's kind of going away. Seems like it's missing anymore, but it's still there in tournaments.
Yeah. Well, I know. I can tell you one story. One of those elite guys that I fished with in an open. I think I got on day 2. James Niggermeyer, who now is with MLF.
Yep.
He's a fairly religious guy, and he asked me. He goes, my co-angler yesterday was a little uncomfortable. He goes, but would you mind if we prayed together? And I go, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, sure. I was like, every bit helps, And I got a 5.5 pounder that day, and you guys know, probably in the opens, you only the co-anglers are only allowed 3 fish limit.
Yep.
So when I caught that and he netted it, and he looks at me and he goes, "You know what that is, right?" And I go, "Yeah, I know what that is." He goes, "That's like having 2 fish for a co-angler."
Oh yeah.
So that was my kicker, and that picture, I think if you go to bassmaster.com, picture me holding up that fish on stage is still on bassmaster.com if you plug my name into the search, and it still comes up. Yeah, so it was a great photo. James Overstreet took it, who was he did an article with me about fish pictures and stuff, basically taking good fish pictures. Fish Lines magazine back then, and I believe Chuck Rowley, our former president of the New York Bass Nation, was also on stage as the helping the weigh-in. So so it was kind of cool. Yeah, it was at Cayuga Lake.
James. James is great.
Didn't you finish in the top 10 for that tournament?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Yeah. I was
That's huge.
I was fourth, and I was probably less. I think if I had 3 more ounces, I would have taken a trophy. If I had two more ounces, the other guy probably would have won, but or came in third. So I was like this close to having a trophy. But
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and I'll never forget it. I don't think I'll ever have the opportunity again, but that was my first and only drive-through weigh-in. And what a thrill. I don't know if you guys have had that opportunity, but it is such a thrill.
Oh yeah.
It was fabulous, and it was live streamed, and my wife and daughter were watching from home, and it was so cool. So
yeah, James is a great guy. I was actually his marshal at a FLW Cup in Hot Springs, and man, I enjoyed the day with him. And I think he finished second that year, and most of the day I was in the camera boat behind him. But yeah, great guy, great guy.
He was. His wife was real nice too. They picked me up at the campground on the way in, and he had his wife and kids in the back at like 4 a.m. I felt
Yep.
bad for the kids, but he's like, oh
They're-
no,
they're used to it. They're used to it.
Yep, yeah, yep. So
I remember the year Jim Bianchi won the Open on Oneida.
Yep.
Yep.
That was big. That was a big deal.
Yeah. It was funny because I came back from Maine from fishing the Federation regional and fished a club tournament, and then went from the club tournament to practice with Jim for the Open. And that when him and I were talking during the practice, we were like, dude, I think you can take this. And he did.
Wow.
Rick Amato says, I got to laugh. Early on days as a boater said to me, we are only throwing spinner baits. Oh, not me. I drop shot. He beat me bad. He got beat bad.
That happens. It happens. Yep. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
Yeah.
I'd like to keep you on for another couple of hours, but life gets in the way sometimes. When we're having fun.
Yeah. Well, listen, I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate you having me on, and I've watched a few of your podcasts, and like I mentioned to you before we went on the air, you have a really good cross section of people coming on, and I really hope you guys keep this rolling, and I think you got a good thing going. And it's important, to talk to the people who are really the grassroots of this sport. And I mean, if anybody out there, needs my help with their promotional materials, feel free to reach out to me. But in the meantime, I mean, these guys are doing a great job keeping the sport alive, and talking to people from different walks of life. And it was kind of cool to see the other day I was watching one. It's really cool to just hear other people's takes on stuff. And what you may think will just maybe techniques alone, something you might learn or try the next time you're on the water. But also, like we're talking about, just life advice, or how to be a better person, how to be a better fisherman, how to relate to people. You guys are doing good. I really, really like what you're doing.
I appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, sir. And take care. If you have any issues, and you're not sure how to get a hold of Tom, reach out to me, reach out to Rob. We'll definitely get you in touch with Tom. Stand-up guy. He's not going to sugarcoat things. He'll give it right to you.
Oh yeah.
He'll let you know what you've got to do. And it's not just about him doing the work. He's going to ask you to help.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My catchphrase is we hook them and you book them. So in other words,
I like it.
I set you up with the tools you need, and you go out there and you use those tools to grab a hold of the people that you need to help you out.
That's right. So, all right, sir. Well, thank you very much. It's been an honor, and been nice to see you after all these years.
Absolutely, John. Well, hopefully we'll see you up at Ticonderoga in June. I don't know if you're going to be there for that one.
Federation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing all three.
All right. Well, I know I'm going to be there for at least one, because I've got 2 tournaments on Champlain the same week. So,
oh wow,
should be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yep. We'll get together for dinner or something, Tom.
All right. Well, Rob, great to meet you, and hope we get to chat again.
Oh, we will, man. I'm sure we'll be catching up, and I might have to drop you a line and get some advice every once in a while.
Okay. No problem at all. Anytime.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Take care. All righty. Yep.
All
right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Man, that was a lot of juice for you guys. That was a lot of juice on the business side for sure.
Yes, and that's the side of the business I think people need the most work on, especially if they want to become a pro or want to make anything out of it, is learning the in and outs. Anybody can do the fishing aspect. The successful people do the back end stuff.
Yeah, definitely. You got to do your work. You got to put your work in.
Yes, I mean he can make you look good.
Oh yeah.
You got to do the work to try to get yourself there to help him out. So.
Definitely. It's a team effort. It's a team effort.
Yes, it is. All right, folks. Well, you guys, thanks for sticking in with us. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. And take care. God bless. Have a good evening.
Peace out.